Hey everyone, I'm Josh.
And I'm T.
And this week on J&T's Journey, we're going to show you everything that we do to prep our AVan for travel. Hey everyone, Josh here with J&T's Journey. Today we're going to do a video on basically our pre-checks. So everything that we do through the camper, from getting the camper ready before we go, packing, hitching up, and then heading out the drive to head away on a trip. In the first section of this video, we're going to start with our pre-pack checks. So these are all the things that you might want to check are good to go or ready, maybe need repairing before you pack your camper to then go away on a trip. So we're going to start at the front of the vehicle, and there's a few things here. In our case, we have a diesel heater fitted. So the very first thing you're going to want to make sure is that your diesel heater tank is full of fuel. Now, being diesel, these things have a habit of sitting around for a while. The other thing you're going to want to do is take the cap off, look in the top, just make sure that there's no algae in that diesel tank that can gum up your fuel system and prevent your diesel heater from working on the road. That could cause you a big problem. The next thing is, what's the status of your gas tanks? The way that we run our LPG tanks, we run one tank until it's empty, and then we switch over to a spare full tank, and then we get the previous tank refilled. So we always have at least one full tank on the drawbar. In this case, I know that last trip I switched over to this tank about 2/3 of the way through the trip, so we should have about 3/4 of a gas bottle there. And I recently refilled this one and put this one in a couple of days ago. So we have a 3/4 full gas bottle here and a full gas bottle here. Mechanically, there are a few things that you want to check up the front here as well. Just have a look at your jockey wheel. Make sure that there's plenty of tread on the tyre, that the tyre's not cracking. Have a visual look around, make sure nothing's rusted, nothing's cracked. Cycle the jockey wheel up and down a little bit, make sure that it's nice and smooth to operate. There's nothing that you need to replace there. Moving forward to the hitch, you want to make sure that the locking spring clicks back and engages correctly, and some people may even put an R-clip in there to prevent that from coming out. If you have an R-clip, make sure it's there, that you haven't lost it on the road. We don't run one, but if you do, you want to make sure that it's there. Check that the hitch lifts up smoothly and that you can pull it up and move it, and that it goes back down. Want to make sure you've got smooth movement there. Handbrakes on an AVan are useless, but if you want to test that, now would be the time to do so. Also, give your chains an inspection. Have a look at the chains, make sure that there's no broken links, no cracks, no rust, no nothing. Again, D-shackles, make sure that they're all in serviceable condition, and you want to check both. Make sure that both of your chains are in order. Trailer connectors. In our case, we run a single trailer connector that has the lights, electrics, and the DC-DC pins in it. Yours might be different. You might have a separate Anderson connector. You might have an ESC fitted as well, which is another connector on the drawbar. Make sure that your connectors are all in serviceable condition, that they're not cracked, that they're not showing signs of overheating or anything like that. Moving along, we'll head down the side of the van and see what we have to check down there. Moving down the side of the camper, we're looking for any obvious things. So we're looking at the vents, we're looking at the doors, we're looking for anything that might be cracked or chipped or has potentially been damaged in our last trip. So we just want to have a visual inspection over everything, make sure that nothing's loose. We want to make sure that the cover for our hot water service is intact, nothing's poking out, nothing looks out of the ordinary. The next thing we want to do is have a look at our tyres. Make sure that we've got an appropriate amount of tread on our tyres, and just visually inspect the outside of the tyre. Make sure that it's not cracked or weathered or worn. One other thing that we want to check while we're here looking at the tyre is there is a little, it's almost like a melted in stamp in the side of the tyre that is the date code of the manufacturing of the tyres. Now, generally speaking, tyres are considered to be hard, gone brittle and hard after 5 years, and their life expired at 7. Now, the way these date codes work is they tell you the week and the year that the tyre was manufactured. So you want to make sure that that tyre isn't life expired. In this case, this tyre is 36th week of 2023. It is mid to late 2025 now, so this tyre is good to go. as we go around the vehicle, we'll check the spare and we'll check the tyre on the other side as well to make sure that that's all right. The last thing that we want to check while we're under here is the shock absorber. We want to make sure that if your vehicle is fitted with a shock absorber, that there's no signs that the shock absorber has failed, that it's not covered in oil, that it's not leaking oil out, and make sure that everything's secure. Coming around the back of the camper now, we're looking to make sure that loose items haven't been left on the bumper, like this. Put that away. Make sure that there's no damage to the bumper from the previous trip, that everything that is attached is secure. If you've got a wet weather gear bag or wet gear bag like this, you make sure that everything that needs to be packed in it is already packed in it, ready to go. Anything that needs cleaning has already been cleaned, and that it's zipped up. In this case, I've forgotten to zip this up, so I need to make sure that I zip that up. Looking for any loose objects, anything that might be broken or cracked or potentially needs to be looked at before you get ready to go away. Coming back around to the front of the van now, we'll pop inside, check in with T and see what you need to make sure is ready to go inside the camper before you start packing. All right, T, what are the things that we need to check inside the camper before we head away for a trip?
So first off, make sure all your electricals work. First off, your lights, we've got the dim, and then you've got your blinding lights there. Make sure both of those are working. Obviously they do. The next thing, making sure that all of you, like your water pump, there's that magic sound, and you got your hot water. As you can see, the little light is flashing. It's thinking about it. There we go, it's ticked over there. So we know that that one works. So once we've done fiddling around and making sure all this section works, then we obviously check out our stove, make sure it ignites. And there it goes. That's functional, that's good. Check the other one. And we're good there. After we've checked the burners are okay and it's cooled down, pop your lid back down. And then we check to make sure the fridge is working. So we push the on button, or power button I should say. Normally we would change the mode to AC if we're traveling or connecting I should say, and then it goes to DC when we're during the traveling section. So obviously all our lights are working. Just make sure there's nothing floating around. Yep, cool. Oh my god, there's nothing in the fridge, that's a first. Next thing on the list is to make sure that your smoke alarm works. I'll test that later because I don't want to get deafened. And to make sure you have a fire extinguisher and it is within a reasonable spot to get to.
Also check that if you've got a fire extinguisher that the little dial on it is in the green area and it doesn't hurt. If you're not sure, to check the tag, see when it was last tested, and if you're worried, get your fire extinguisher retested. They don't cost very much to get tested. Absolutely essential, could save your life.
Last but not least, make sure your linen's clean, because there's nothing like travelling miles and miles away from home to find out that, oh, I forgot to wash the sheets from last time when we were at the beach or something, and then that ruins your trip because you're lying in sand. And then obviously with dogs as well, you do need to keep the hygiene up on your bed linen too.
Yeah. We also use the AVan as a spare room for guests. So in our case, we do actually need to wash the linen because the last time this was used, it was used by a guest.
And you guys jump all over it.
Next up, we're going to go across our packing checks. And one of the things that you need to make sure you've got in your packing checks is right here on the table. And yes, I'm using this as a prompt for this video. It's a list. So lists like this are really important when you're getting prepared to go away. If you have a list each time you go away, if you forget something, you can add it to the list, make sure that you don't forget it next time. So now we're going to cover off the packing checks. What are the things that you need to put into your camper or into your vehicle, make sure that you have with you for your trip? First off, food. This seems like a really simple one, but you'd be surprised how many times we've been out on a camp and people haven't brought enough food for the weekend, or they've assumed shops will be open, or they've gone away on a public holiday weekend not realizing that in the middle of the bush, shops aren't often open on weekends. Now, in terms of food, you need to consider both perishable and non-perishable items. In our case, we carry a whole bunch of cooking supplies in here that are dedicated to just the camper. We have spaghetti cooking spices, herbs, little bits and pieces that we use, oils, etc. When was the last time you used them? Did they run out on your last trip? Can you remember? If you're not sure, check. Make sure you've got everything that you need. Restock. The next thing, drinks. Make sure that you have enough drinks. And I'm not just talking about alcohol, although if you're that way inclined, make sure that you've got enough of that for the trip that you're going on. I'm talking about water. I'm talking about cordial. When was the last time you checked your coffee reserves? Have you remembered to pack the milk? All this stuff is really, really important. The next thing, cutlery, crockery. Did you wash the dishes the last time you did you used the camper? Is there a big pile of dishes sitting in your sink? There could be. Certainly, we've been caught out with that before, where we've rushed home, it's been raining, we haven't had a chance to unpack the camper properly, we've forgotten about it, we've come to get the camper out to go away the next day, open the sink and gone, uh-oh. So, make sure your cutlery and crockery is all there and all ready to go. Medications and first aid. This is an easy one to overlook. Have you packed your medications? Do you have a regular amount of meds that you take? Do you have enough meds for your trip? What happens if you lose those meds while you're on your trip? Do you have scripts and do you have access to places where you can get them refilled? First aid. What kind of first aid do you need to bring with you? Are you going to a snake prone area? Do you need to bring a snake kit? Do you need to just bring band-aids? Is there other things that you need to consider that you need to bring in your first aid kit? If you're going to have a fire, what are you going to start the fire with? Do you need to bring firewood? Make sure all of this stuff is covered off. Bug sprays. Make sure you've got bug sprays and a couple of different varieties, because we've found that different bug sprays work differently in different areas. What is largely considered the gold standard in bug spray is Bushman's. Personally, I don't like it because it leaves a really oily feeling on the skin, but it does work really well. You might want to consider an automatic sprayer, like an automatic Mortine sprayer, or a Thermacell as well, if you don't react very well to bug sprays. Toilet supplies. When was the last time that you checked that you had enough fluid for your chemical toilet if you're taking a toilet with you? Have you got loo roll? Even if you don't have a toilet with you, even if you're not bringing a toilet, still doesn't hurt to bring a loo roll and a shovel, because you never know when you gotta go. Clothes. Did you remember to pack enough clothes? My policy for packing clothes is if I'm going away for 3 nights, I'll pack 4 nights of clothes. If I'm going away for 5 nights, I will pack 7 nights of clothes. I'll always make sure that I have extras just in case something happens while you're out there on the way. Same thing, toiletries. Make sure you've got a couple of rolls of toothpaste. What happens if you drop one in the dirt? What happens if one gets dirty? What happens if one gets damaged in transit? Having extras is never a bad thing. What are you going to charge your phone with? Are you going away with devices? Are you YouTubers like us and need to charge cameras? Make sure that you've got microphones that aren't running flat, extra cameras, charging cables, etc. Make sure at this stage all of that stuff is packed and in your camper. Is there anything else? Maybe occasionally you go away for a night or two, you don't take your solar charging stuff with you. Did you put that back in the camper the last time you packed a camper? If not, make sure it's in there. Did you borrow the chairs because you went out on a day trip somewhere and you decided that you needed your camp chairs for the day there? Did they get thrown back in the shed, or did they get put back in the storage space in the camper? Make sure all of this stuff is checked. Now, once you've completed your packing and once you've completed all your packing checks, it's time to fold the camper down. But first, you need to do your fold down checks.
So now we will go through the fold down checks. Obviously, while Josh is sorting out the outside, I focus on the inside. So firstly, we make sure the lights are off and they've been off for a certain amount of time, because obviously we don't want to set stuff on fire. And secondly, we make sure that our fridge is set to the DC mode, when we're traveling. The Ruby charges up everything in here. Obviously it's off at the moment, so this will be on DC. And you make sure that it is locked, because we've had several circumstances where it hasn't been, and we've had some lovely colours all over the floor. and it's never fun to clean up. Okay, so then after that we make sure that our cushions are down, because it just makes it a bit easier when everything is compacted. Put everything flat. Any loose items, do a quick run around. We've got our mini broom, and we can put that down in our little, hey, it doesn't want to work. There we go. And put it in one of our compartments, because we don't want anything flying around. Obviously our laundry basket is, it'll be fine. Next thing we do is make sure all of our blinds are pushed across and tied in. We make sure all of these are locked, and these are actually key locked as well, so there's no movement, because the last thing you need is to have any of your vents open and flop out, and while you're driving have it rip off, because you can get some pretty strong winds over the top of the AVan. Obviously these are open, so we wind them down. I can't reach them. That's the one thing I get Josh to do in here. The next thing is when we got to get these little things ready. So these will actually sit on the triangle section when it's lower down, which you'll see later, just for a bit of extra protection. Okay, and I think other than that, you know, just your general things. Make sure your windows are shut and locked. Any other loose items put away. Make sure all the doors are locked. So obviously if these are pushed in, that's unlocked, that's locked. Everything is switched off. That's the big thing you got to focus on, everything being switched off and locked. And then you're ready to go on the inside. And then it's just a matter of popping out and doing the next step.
Thanks T for showing us the things inside the camper that you check prior to me coming in and doing my bit. So to fold the walls down, you just pop the front and rear latches on the camper on one side. You grab your foam, you place your first foam down on the table as shown, fold the wall down on top of that. I then position the remaining two foams side by side above the join in the window, and then pop the latches on the other side, pop the door, and then fold that wall down on top. With the fourth foam, I place that on the center of the roof, as we've found sometimes the Alpine Annex's sail track can rub against the roof if that foam's not in position. Once that foam is in position, I grab the little sail track protectors that come with our Alpine Annex. We insert those. T quite often gives me a hand with that, and we position those in places that we have found will rub if we don't put them there. Now this is going to be different for everybody else's camper, and this is something that you're going to have to work out as you go. Once those are in place, we pop the roof, fold the roof down, do up the side latches, make sure you don't forget to fold the step in, and if you're going to be on some bumpy roads, make sure that you secure the step to the rail with a little bit of electrical tape to prevent it from coming open in transit. Ask us how we know that. Now that we're all folded down, let's get this positioned at the front of the yard so that we can get hitched up. Kids, need your help pushing the camper?
I didn't know we were going to be in this video. I don't want to push the cam.
Come on guys, let's go. Alright, one each on the back corners, and when I say push, yeah, one each on the back corners, and when I say push, push, and when I say stop, stop. Alright, we might need to rock it back and forth. Ready to go? Ready? Let it rock. One more. Now that we're all hitched up and we're ready to go, there are a few things we want to make sure that are correct before we depart. I call these the post-hitch checks. First of all, gas bottles. Make sure both your gas bottles are off. You do not want to be traveling with your gas bottles turned on. If you have an accident and the gas line ruptures, you're creating a very hazardous situation for any would-be rescuers. Next thing, check the front boot. Have you locked it? In our case, we haven't, so we will make sure that the front boot is locked. Coming down to the jockey wheel, want to make sure it's secure, not going to go anywhere. If you've got a removable handle like ours is, make sure that the handle has been removed, has been stowed in the boot. Check your trailer plug, make sure that it's not going to come out. Again, check your chains, make sure that the chains are secure and that the pins are done up. Hitch. Lost count of the amount of times I've seen people leave with these hitches sitting in the up position like this. Very dangerous. Make sure the hitch is down and lock, handbrake is off. Moving around the side of the camper, we go in a circular direction to make sure that we finish where we started. Next thing we want to check is side hatches. Are these locked? No, they're not. So we'll make sure that we lock these. Now, when you lock these buttons have a habit of pushing in. So I like to give them a little tap just to make sure that they're locked and a gentle tug to make sure that they're not going anywhere. Moving down the camper, vents aren't loose. Nothing's loose, nothing's going to come off. Outdoor shower, if you have it fitted, is secure. Roof latches closed and pinned. Power inlet is secured, closed. Everything is secure. Water latches closed, locked, not going to come apart in transit. Just before we get right round to the back of the camper, two more things that I did forget to mention when I originally shot this video is now it is also a good time to make sure that the stabilizer legs from your camper are up and in the locked position and not going to go anywhere. And while you're checking the flap for your water tank, if you haven't already done so, now is the time to fill your water tank. Generally, you don't want to fill your water tank until your camper is maneuvered out of your backyard or out of whatever storage it's in, because not having, 60, 100 litres of water on board is going to make the camper easier to move. Might not sound like a lot of weight, but every little bit helps. All right, now on to the back of the camper. Coming around the back of the camper, we want to make sure that anything that we've got fixed to the rear of our camper is secure. In our case, we've got some extra water tanks, we've got a fire pit, we've got a bag on the back. The fire pit is attached with these straps. We want to make sure that these straps are secure and that at the edges there's no fraying, nothing's going to come undone in transit. We want to make sure the straps that we've got over our extra water tanks are in good condition and that the tanks are secure. We want to make sure that our bag on the back is done up and that the bag itself is secured, and check the straps on the back of the tyre, make sure that they're all in good order. Lastly, the back of the camper, check your pole door. Make sure that the pole door is latched and whatever retaining pin you have in here is in and secure. We have actually had this happen once where we've forgotten to put the retaining pin in. We got 20 k's down the road, I looked in the rear vision mirror and saw the poles were poking out of the box. Fortunately, we didn't lose any, but this is a very easy one to forget. We'll now move around to the final side of the camper, check the last few things on there, and then we're ready to go. Walking down the final side of the camper, we want to make sure that, as we did with the other side, that all of the hatches are latched and closed, that the hatches aren't going to pop open. Make sure that the roof latch is closed, locked and pinned, so that's not going to come apart in transit. 240 volt outlet. These do latch at the bottom. Make sure that they're firmly latched and closed. Again, you don't really want that opening, water getting in there in transit. Make sure you lock your side door. Step, make sure that's stowed. Front hatch, again, make sure that your front hatch is locked. This one is already locked. Give it a tap just to make sure. Your little retaining strap for your door. Make sure that that's locked in place and isn't going to go anywhere. Now that we're back around the front, we can just take a step back, have a visual look over the whole camper, make sure that nothing's loose, make sure all the hatches are secure and that we're ready to go. For your final checks, you just want to make sure that all your lights are working, so jump in your vehicle, use a phone to film it if you don't have a spare person, turn the parkers on, make sure that the parkers are working down both sides as well as the rear of the camper, put your foot on your brake, test the brake lights, and then cycle your indicators left and right. It is important that you cycle your indicators as opposed to using your hazards, as it is possible for some vehicles in their trailer connectors to have the indicators wired the wrong way around, and you don't want to get caught out with that. While you're here, you can check that your DC-DC charger is charging and that everything is good to go for your trip. If you tow with a set of airbags like we do, now is a good time to inflate the airbags and make sure that you are all prepped, ready to go. And through the magic of editing, I am now out in the bush. I hope you've enjoyed that trip prep guide. We put a fair bit of effort into making that one. I know it's a little bit different, but hopefully that's helpful to you guys and hopefully helps you not forget to pack something for your trip. I'm Josh with J&T's Journey. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, share our videos. We're well on our way to 1,000 subscribers at the moment. It would be great if we could get there before the end of the year. I've been Josh, and also on behalf of T, thanks for watching. Cheers.